Good evening. Hi. Hello, wherever you are. Hello, wonderful ambassadors of love. I wonder if you could tell who I am. If my name wouldn't be on the screen, who am I? And I wonder if you can even hear me properly with all these masks on my face, right? This isn't natural. We aren't born like this. We aren't supposed to be like this. So, let me take these things off because we don't really need them. We don't really need masks to exist. We don't really masks to thrive. We don't really need masks to survive. And that's why I created this video today around this topic of authenticity, which is so important, especially nowadays. And I know many of you ask themselves questions about who I really am, who is my authentic self, how can I find and express my authentic self. So this is the video. And about these ambassadors of love, know that whenever you go out into the world or in your family and you say a nice word or you help someone, you hug someone, or you smile at someone, you are actually an ambassador of love, because that's the frequency, that's the energy you project into this world. Wow, this thing is like really terrible. I can't breathe in that. So I prefer to show up like this. I have a little story to tell you about masks and authenticity and sort of a metaphor. So, the Halloween party, people usually when go there, they dress up, they wear costumes. And I have this friend, and she went to a Halloween party, and she dressed up like a lady at a king's court, like French king's court, like a really big dress, heavy dress, and lots of makeup, a wig, and nobody knew who she was behind all that makeup, all that disguise, and because that dress was so heavy and cumbersome, she wasn't able to dance, she wasn't able to have fun, and she wasn't even able to catch the eye of the guy she really liked. So she spent the evening mostly sitting in a chair, eating cookies, drinking, that kind of stuff. And she left there totally unhappy. So this is what the lack of authenticity does to our lives. Lack of authenticity makes our life sort of unhappy. It devoids us of joy. And the lack of authenticity is actually wearing all these masks that we start to create early in our childhood, because we think that that's the only way that we can be accepted, that's the only way we can be loved. We believe that we need to show up in the world as someone who isn't necessarily our authentic self to thrive, to survive, to be able to make a life, to make a living. So we wear all these masks that over time they get thicker and thicker, and maybe one time, as you saw me earlier, so you have one, and then as you advance in life, you put on another one and another one. And these masks sometimes are exactly the roles we play into the world. So the wife, the employee, the manager, the white person, the black person. So all these labels, all these identities behind which we hide our true nature. I made some notes just to make sure that I'm not missing any of the messages I want to convey to you to do. But these masks actually, because they aren't actually who we really are, they take a tremendous amount of energy to keep, to maintain. And the thing is that we are so used to wearing those masks that we don't even realize that they are just masks, that they aren't our real selves, they aren't real. And we let them rule our life because we believe, oh, because I wear this mask, I need to behave in a certain way, I need to act in a certain way, I need to be this person. So how do we get rid of them? Well, I think a step is to just decide, I don't want to wear any masks anymore. I just want to be myself. And then start from there and remember, because you never forget, who you really are. And to remember who you really are, you need to look beyond those masks I mentioned before, beyond what your ego tells you that you should do or that you should be, beyond the labels people put on you, beyond the limiting beliefs that make you act in a certain way, that make you choose something over something else. Connect with your heart, be honest with yourself, and also stand in your deepest truth. And your deepest truth comes from the heart. It never comes from the mind. And also be willing to show up in the world as a vulnerable person. And to show up as a vulnerable person actually takes a lot of courage. And what do I mean by that? Let's say your nature is kind. And actually, all of us as humans, we are kind, we are loving, we are generous. But we were made to believe that we aren't. We were made to believe that actually these are weaknesses, that if people know that we are kind, they're going to take us for granted, or they're going to take advantage of us. So sometimes we build up this persona which is tough and I don't care, I can do everything on my own, that kind of stuff. And so instead of showing up like that in the world, you can choose to show up as you really are and manifest as the kind and loving person you are, no matter what the circumstances. And of course, to do that is stepping out of your comfort zone, because it is funny that people are creatures of habit, and even when something bugs us or makes us miserable, if we live with it long enough, we become so accustomed to it, it becomes so ingrained in our life that we'd rather stay there in that misery we know, rather than step outside of it, step outside our comfort zone. So to find your authenticity, you need to step out of this comfort zone, out of the things you are familiar with, of the actions you do every day, of your habits. And as I said, remember. But this effort is worth your time, it's worth your energy, because it can put an end to your suffering. It can also bring you inner peace, because until you remember who you are and you start living your life from that place as your authentic self, within you, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle between what your soul urges you to do and be as your authentic self, and what your mask, your ego, tells you to do and be. And your ego you will want to stay alive, will want to be safe, while your soul wants to take you on your path, or on your life path that's really meant for you. So you'll be conflicted between these two. And it will be a tug of war that will often manifest in your outer life as conflicts with other people, let's say, or maybe minor accidents. Anything that's a discomfort actually comes from the discomfort that you experience within yourself, and which you numb with maybe food, maybe watching TV, buying stuff, just to avoid feeling your emotion and what's happening within you. Authenticity will also bring you freedom. It will make you sovereign and the master of your life. And I think that authenticity, together with self-acceptance, a topic I touched on in my previous love chat. So freedom and self-acceptance are the path to freedom, because until we accept ourselves as we are, until we remember who we are, and we are authentic in every single aspect of our life, until that moment, people will trigger us, people will push our buttons, and we will do things because we want to get other people's approval, other people's acceptance, because we don't remember who we are, so we need external validation. And we think that we need other people's approval and love and acceptance to be happy, which is not quite real. And I don't know if you are familiar with Paul Ferrini. He's one of my favorite nonfiction authors. He wrote a book called The Laws of Love. And in this book, he says that each human being is destined to become who he or she really is. It is our destiny to express our true essence, our authenticity. And when we have the courage to be authentic, regardless of circumstances, we become free, sovereign. And being authentic is a matter of not only acting upon our deepest truth, but also speaking our deepest truth. Of course, in a manner that's polite and that doesn't hurt other people. But it's always being in alignment with who we are and with our truth. So another thing about authenticity, and this is related to freedom, when you are authentic, then nobody can really control you. Well, maybe they can force you to stay into your house because of a lockdown, but they cannot control your mind. They cannot control your spirit. And that's why people who are, in concentration camps during the Second World War, or imprisoned in communist jails, despite that confinement and limitation, they didn't turn bitter. They didn't turn crazy. Even in that environment, they thrived. They were able to see the beauty in the others. They were able to still love life because their spirit and their mind were free. Why was that? Because they knew who they were, and because they were authentic. Because when they were also offered to make a choice between, let's say, snitching on someone or denying their truth and their beliefs, they're able to stand in their truth, and they went to jail rather than, lie to themselves. Authenticity also brings you in harmony, not only with yourself, but with life. And at that point, life starts flowing through you. And every day becomes sort of a miracle. So, and you also make wise decisions, because those decisions are based on your mind, which is conditioned by your beliefs, by your past experiences, and 99% of the time by fear, but they are based on your heart, on your inner self. So, how do you find your authentic self? How do you remember who you are? Well, I would say that the first step you can take, if you are so overwhelmed by all the masks you've been wearing all these years, and by the labels that were put upon you, and by your education, that you can remember who you really are, is just remember your childhood. Go back in time when you were 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, and remember what made you happy. What was it that you loved to do? And I can tell that when I was a kid, I loved music. So going down the memory lane, I love to sing, and I also wanted to learn how to play the guitar. So I decided to finally do that, and I can do this thing on my guitar. Well, not much, but this is a start. And if you recognize the song, it's a pretty famous song. Just write it in the comments, and I'll find a reward for you. Also, as a kid, I loved to read, and I loved to write. And I was passionate about those stories, romanticized stories about the Native Americans. So look what I did. So this is a culture I need to explore, and I want to explore. So I bought this sacred drum to help me on my journey. But this isn't something that I found recently. This is something that I was always drawn to in my childhood. And believe me, I have so many gaps. But I can always ask my mom. And if you don't remember what was happening in your childhood, or how you were, or what you like, you can always ask your parents or your siblings. I like to play. I like to climb into trees. So I was a happy person. I like to laugh. I like to make jokes. So that was my personality. So it's not just about finding your gift, your talent, because I think all of us are born with a unique gift or talent that needs to be expressed. But it is also about your personality. So maybe you have a great sense of humor, and you chose not to express that because you don't want to offend people. Who knows? So find your real personality, and then think that maybe you like to spend hours at a time in nature, just gazing at the sky, and you were told that this means being lazy, and it isn't being lazy. It's your way of communicating with nature and recharging. So remember all of those things, because thank you. It's Metallica, nothing else matters. Actually, the song. But so remember your true nature. Remember your true nature and let it shine. Bring that child back into your adult life and see how it changes. And this is actually the second step. So once you remember your gifts, your talents, your passions, your personality, then start bringing that back into your life and integrating it. So For example, if as a kid you love to paint, then start taking painting lessons or start drawing, or whatever makes you happy, whatever makes your soul sing. That's your authentic self. So do that. And the third step is to surround yourself with people who encourage you on this path. It is terrible to have a dream or to want to pursue a new life path or a new career when you're even 30, 40, or even when you're 25 and you're still trying to find your way, and have someone in your entourage or your family or your friends telling you, no, you can't do that. No, you want to be an artist, you're going to starve, and you'll end up homeless, living from your car. Well, actually, abundance, it has to do a lot with what's inside you. And this is another topic for another life. And it has to do with love too. But that's why it is important to, and especially when you're just fresh on this path, having someone to telling you, no, you can't do it, it's like, like a flower that's trying to break out through the ground after a heavy winter, and it's just blooming, and then a heavy blizzard comes and the flower is destroyed. So find people who encourage you to pursue your dreams, to pursue your new life, no matter how crazy it seems, because those people trust you, and those people who can see who you really are. And surround yourself with authentic people, because it's fun, we crave more and more to return to authenticity when it comes to our food, right? We crave to eat fresh food, fresh vegetables. We crave our connection with nature. We crave, especially after a year where social distancing was forced upon us, we crave this human connection. So then why would we not do something about ourselves to set an example and show up as authentic and be like this organic fruits, right? And let's be an organic tomato, for example, and be as authentic as an organic tomato that's grown in a on a farm, like they used to do it when I was a kid. So first step, connect with your inner child. Second step, start integrating what you find in your daily life. And the third step, surround yourself with people who trust you, who support you, and who are authentic. Because being surrounded by people who already walk this path, they can also guide you, and they can make your life easier. So once you do that, you will see that everything around you will change, and you will be more energetic. You will feel more enthused. You'll be more inspired. You will attract in your life more opportunities, and you will feel at peace with yourself. And I'd like to know more about your experiences and your path to authenticity. So feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, and send me a message. You can contact me through my website, www.agbilic.com. So, my dear ambassadors of love, I wish you a beautiful weekend filled with authenticity and authentic discoveries and breakthroughs about yourself. And I'll see you again for another love chat very, very soon. And if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss, leave me a message, okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.